is audible to you, and please message S in the chat box so that I'll understand that I'm audible to you. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Uh, so we were talking about decision control in Python. We have discussed why decision control is important in Python and in any other programming language, why we use decision control statements. Again, we have seen some looping structures in Python and why loops are important in Python, like for loop, while loop, why do we use such loops in Python, that also we have discussed. Now there is one more parameter or the function or what we can say the attribute of this programming language is the use of functions. And by using different functions, we'll be able to organize our code properly, and that will make our code more readable, more efficient. And secondly, that will be in terms of debugging also, our code will be very much easy to debug. So that the topic we're going to discuss here, the functions. Before we actually start with the technical aspects of function, how do we create functions in Python, how to use the functions, and how to call the functions, let us understand what function is. As far as the dictionary meaning of function is concerned, the function means some task. For example, I'm doing this function, or the motors functions. We, in terms of electrical engineering, you must have come across sometimes like the function of rotor inside the motor or armature coil inside the motor. So basically, its duties or the task of that particular coil or that particular shaft or that particular motor. Similarly, when I talk about functions in programming language, it also refers to the task or some things that we have to implement or we have to do. Similarly, if I talk about any organization or any company, there will be different functions of that organization. For example, there will be a marketing function, there will be a R&D department, there will be another production department, and there will be a management department also. So basically, the management department is doing different function, marketing team is doing different function, and other departments are doing their own task or at the different functions. Now the question is, if there is a single employee in that organization who is capable of doing all those things. For example, he is expert in marketing also, and he is the owner of that particular organization, for example, and he is having all the capabilities of doing any task which the organization has to fulfill. Then he can do alone also all these tasks, but still there will be a different department. He has hired number of staffs so that the organization will be properly organized and every task will be done by different people. This will help to increase the efficiency of work. If this is done, there will be a proper way of finding out some problems, if any, in that particular organization, and it will be very much easy to rectify problems. For example, if there is a problem with marketing, only marketing team will be counseled, and again, if it is possible to replace some team member, that can be replaced, or in some resources required, that can be allocated to that team only. So similarly, when we design a software or any automation system, we need to have some functions, different functions. Up till now, whatever codes we have written, that was a single file only. We have written every code and whatever lines of code in a single file, single Python script. Now what happens? Now a single script is doing each and every task. For example, temperature control fan. We take this simple example. Now there can be a 3 to 4 tasks in this particular bigger task. Now the major task is controlling the fan based on the room temperature. This is the final outcome. But there can be subtasks like reading temperature is one subtask out of this major task. Secondly, comparing that temperature with some threshold value, that comparison or decision control, that is second task. And thirdly, controlling the relay in order to trigger that fan, that will be the third task. So now, even if we talk about a very simple example, temperature control fan, it has got the 3 subtasks. So we'll divide our program in these 3 subtasks, and accordingly the decision control or any other thing is going to happen, or that is going to work efficiently as per whatever task is assigned to that. In future, if you want to change the threshold value, then you have to change only that decision making all part. You need not to change entire code. But in case of previous style of programming, you have to change, or you have to make changes in the entire part of code, and there is only one file, so that file will be changed. So this is not the good approach for maintaining the code. For example, you have designed the mobile phone. Now the mobile phone has got different functions. Like it has got the camera, it has got the microphone, displays, and the calling facility, and different apps are also there. So once you have to upgrade something, you will upgrade that app only, or that part of software only, not the entire operating system. Once you get the upgrade to your operating system of your mobile phone, you will find that there is no upgrade to entire operating system. Some features in some particular facility or the functionality of your mobile phone it changed. So again, that is using the functional approach. It is dividing its code in different functions. So here also, in order to maintain our code in a proper format, we'll be using different functions in programming. So we'll start with the coding actually. So I'll create a new file, and let's try to create some function in the Python. So the function in Python is created by using this keyword def, and then you have to create some function name. So this is my function, then brackets, and then you have to put some colon. So indicating that this is to be a function, and this keyword is important, that the function is defined by this def keyword. This name is user defined. User can give any name to his function. It's not strictly to be a my function. You can give any name. So I'm giving as this is my first function, so I'm giving is my function. But I'll recommend when you are declaring some function, give relevant name. For example, if your function is doing addition work, then give name like add, addition, or something like that, or sum. If your function is doing finding the square of a number, then you just write the square function or something like that. You just give some relevant name. The function has got some parentheses. This is what we call technically to these rounded brackets, and they are empty. So sometimes it may have some value here. We can store some value here, or you can pass some arguments or some values or some variables inside this. But as I'm discussing, this will be our first function, so I'm just making this thing simple. I'm not going further, but in upcoming few examples, I'll be putting some arguments also inside this. And here you'll have to define something, or the task that function has to do. Now I'm expecting this function will simply print a message. I'm not going to do anything. So this will print hello from my function. This is what this function is going to do, and no any other activity. So I will save this with some name. So I save this with main code like this. This is my main code. Okay, not the function file. Main code.py. So this is my main code, and I have written a function, the my function, and inside that one task I have assigned, that this function has to do the printing this thing, the print hello from my function. This will be the task assigned to this function. We are expecting this function will fulfill this task. Okay. Now the function, you can consider function as an employee of your main organization. So this is an employee, and we have given some task to this employee. Just go and print this thing on the screen. Okay. Now let's check whether after hitting the run command, whether this is going to generate some result. So we have given some task like it has to this print this thing. So we are expecting that it will print this thing. But once I run this code, nothing is going to happen. See, so the code run, but no output. This is because this is not the error in the program. This is because we haven't called this function. For example, you have hired an employee in your organization, and you have just mentioned the duties in the offer letter that you have to do these things. but you have not assigned any task. For example, if the employee has assigned to complete some project in your organization, and he has taken in that project team, and just we have mentioned that your roles and responsibilities are to complete this project. Okay, but we have actually not called that or not informed to start this project or start the work. So that particular employee is not going to do anything. So he'll be sitting there waiting for the command that he has to start the work on that project. Same thing is happened here. We haven't actually called this function. We haven't actually informed this function that you have to complete this task. Now that we can do by the function call, and the function call is done like this. So you just have to mention the function name, and you just give the brackets there, and that will make a function call. So after doing this, now the function is going to be called. So the first line in this code that will be executed is not this. This is not going to execute at first time. The first line that will be executed is this thing. So this will make a call to function, this function, my function, and then my function will be coming into picture, and that will be performing his duties. Now its task is to print this simple message on the screen and not to do anything. Okay, so let's check whether it is happening this time. Previously it was not happening, but this time we'll check it. So this time it is happening. Hello from my function, it is printing on the screen, and it is that much simple. You just have to call the function. So once you call, now the function is ready to work. Without any call, the function is not going to do any task. So it's like that employee who is sitting idle when no task is assigned to that. Okay, so now this is the function in its simplest form. It's just printing this thing, and not actually that much important in real world programming, or not that much helpful in programming. So the function should be like this. It should do something. It should take some data. Okay, for example, this function is like, I have, or let's say you have hired an employee in your organization, and you just inform that this is our organization, and you have to do any task, whatever you want, you do. I'm not giving you any specific task. You just go and do anything, and just do not submit to me also. This is another example can be, for example, you are learning this Python programming, and I said that you just complete some assignments at your own, and don't even show to me. You just complete at your own. So do some, try some assignments. Now in that case, I am actually assigning some work to you, but what work is up to you. What you have to do is totally up to you. I am not putting any restrictions that you have to solve this assignment. Secondly, I am also not expecting anything in return, that you have to come up with some assignment and you will show that assignment to me. This is also I am not expecting. I am just saying just go complete this assignment and you just solve some problems. Okay, but I am not giving any specific assignment to you. This is what happening here. I am asking my function to print something, but what to print, it's totally up to the my function's control. The my function is taking full control over it. It is printing this thing, but this function is not saying you have to print this thing. Secondly, after printing here we are not getting anything back from this, not getting any return from this. Okay, so we'll make another function, so that will take some data, or there will be some communication between calling party to the called party, so that particular employee is getting called, but we'll be establishing some sort of communication. So for that, I'll define a function square, this square function, and inside bracket I pass a number, this number, and I'm expecting just print num star num, that will be the score of this number. Okay, and here I'm making a call to the square one. Let's I take the a equal to 10 as a value, and then here I'm expecting some square, so I'm calling this a. Okay, so this is my simple program. The first line that will be executed, not this function. So always remember, function will execute only when some call is made to that function. If we do not make any call to the function, that will not be executed. So a equal to 10, that will be the first line that will be executed. Second line is this, square of a, that a is passed, the value of a is here. Now it is asking to find out the square of this a number. Now the value of A is getting copied inside this num. Okay, it is getting copied only. Okay, it's not like that here you are defining A and here you are declaring num, but the value of A will be copied in num, and after that it's this thing. What happens? So it has printed the square value as 100. Now in this case, what happened? I'm giving some data to this function that I'm asking, the square function, take this number and find out some square. But I'm not expecting that you should show that square to me. It is printing in my square only. I'm not getting it. Here I'm not getting any value. It is printing here only. So that's the another thing, and the example can be, for example, I just said ki you just complete the yesterday I told you ki you have to do the finding part, just print all the odd numbers from 1 to 100 and all the even numbers from 1 to 100. But I have not said ki you have to show that to me. You just do that. So here again the same thing happening. The square function, we are calling that function. We are saying that just find out the square of this number. But after finding the square, whether you have to return this value to me or not, this is not defined. So I'm not expecting anything in return. So now we'll just modify this so that I'll be getting something in return. So there will be a two-way communication. This is the one-way communication. I'm taking some number, passing to this function. This is calculating some values and not giving anything in return. Okay. Now I'll be giving some return statement here and we'll try to print. So instead of print, we'll be writing return statement. Okay, return num into num. And if it is returning here, I should write here b equals to or any variable, because this will return some value and that will be stored in b this time. Okay, this is the most sophisticated or advanced form of this function. And then I will print here, print the square of a number is equals to, and then comma. Okay, I just give some space here again. Then this is b. The square of a number which you have given is the b. Just run this, and it will print it. The square of a number is 100. Okay. So this thing happened. This is the most suitable form of writing the functions. So you just create some functions here and you just make some calls from this, and then you will be printing some values. So actually these kind of functions are quite important in actual real world problems where you solve some problems. For example, if you are reading some temperature, that temperature value will be passed to decision maker. That decision maker will take some judgment and provide some command to the fan controller so that they will be switching on and off of that relay. So here some communication happens between two different functions, just like in an organization. For example, the marketing team will do some task and they will provide some data to the production team, or again that will provide some data to management team, and the management team will again provide some data to any other teams in that particular thing or in that organization. Similarly, same thing happens in the college. There are some faculties and principal, then HODs, and everything is there in the in your college. So everything is properly organized in your college also. So here again, whenever you design some software or some robot, its task should be automated, or it should be properly managed, or it should there should some sort of some organization has to be there. If this is not, that means your code is not properly organized, it is not efficient, and secondly, it is not the good code. What we can say, it is not the proper code or not the good code. Although your code is technically correct, everything is happening properly, absolutely fine. But in future, when you have to upgrade your code, that is not possible. You will not be able to upgrade that code properly. Secondly, function also help us in case, for example, I have to find out the square of, I have given 10 numbers, 10 different numbers, and I have to find out the square of all these numbers. Then I will have to write this instruction, multiplication of this thing, number into number for 10 number of times. That will make my code lengthy. But writing a simple function, this block, now this is going to do the same task. Just you have to call that by putting some number. Again, you can put, for example, you have 100 numbers, you just put a for loop here and just call this thing. So 100 numbers square can find. So you have 100 different numbers, and I'll be able to find out the square of 100 different numbers by using few lines of code, 3 to 4 lines of code. But if you are not using the function, you need at least 100 plus lines to implement the same thing. So that is again the advantage and importance of function. Now this is called as function. Now, there is another important concept in programming that is called as module in Python. The libraries are called as module. So what happens if you are declaring some functions in the same file? So I was talking about we are actually organizing our task in different functions, but still I am declaring the functions in the same file. Here I am declaring this function, and I'm using the same file. So what is use of it? So if you are declaring the same thing in that file, and again you have only one coding file. So again, it is quite simplified as compared to the previous approach, which we were following up to yesterday. It is quite simplified, but still it is not that much efficient. It should be like that. You have the main code in some different file, and some functions are stored in another file, one different file, and you are just calling that file from your the main code, and you are using that. So for example, this is my main code, so I'll create a one more file which will have only functions. Okay, so I declare some functions here. So def add, and this I write a comma b. So there will be a addition of two numbers, and here it will return a plus b, this thing. Okay, and then I declare multiple functions here. Now not just a single. I make a complete calculator here. So you may find some functions to find out the resistance of circuit, or finding out some current through the circuit. I'm just taking simple example of addition. Then here I write subtraction. Then I write here multiplication, and then division. Of course, the result of or the return value will be different. Here it will be a divided by b, and here it will be a multiplied by b, and here it will be a minus b. Now this is the file. It's a different file. I'm not writing any main code in this file. Just it will store some functions. Now let us save this with some name. So I'll save this by name. Let's calculator already there. So I just calc. Okay, it will be calc.py. So now this becomes the calc.py is the function file. Now this time, if you have a file only with the functions, then this file is called as module in the Python. Collection of functions, a file having the collection of functions, different functions, is called as module in the Python. So this is the module in the Python, and now we'll use this module or use this function file in our main code. In other programming languages such as C, this file is called as library in function library, or the header file. Like we include #include stdio.h, such kind of header file. So in other programming languages, this is called as the header file or the library. In Python, this is called as module. Okay, now will be module is nothing but collection of different functions. Now there can be when some variables or something along with the functions, but the majorly there will be some functions, some routines which are stored. Now once I have declared this calc, I can use this file in any other project. Wherever I want, I can use it. So I want in my main code, I'll be using there. I want that in different code, that also there also I can use that. So keep in mind, I have declared inside the add. Previously I was passing only one number. This time I'm passing two numbers, a and b, like this. Now what I'll do, inside my main code, I'll just delete everything and I'll try to write new code. So a equal to 10, and then b equals to 5. This is my code, and then I'm expecting, let's say key c equals to add a comma b, and then print c. Okay, this is what I'm expecting. So I have saved both the codes in the same folder. If you notice, this is in C user, this, and in Python 36, and after that main code.py. If you notice this thing again, it is again C users something, and again it is under this Python 36 and calc.py. So both the codes are in the same folder. If both the codes are in the same folder, will it be possible that I can use direct the function name add a comma b, so that they are in the same folder, so they must be accessible to each other, like MATLAB. Okay, if you have studied the MATLAB programming, inside the MATLAB, if you declare two MATLAB script or .m files in the same folder, so you will be able to access the all the functions from the other file. So whether it is going to be true in case of Python programming. Okay, so let's check it. So once I run this, it will highlight an error that the name error add is not defined, meaning this add is unknown. It is completely unknown. It is not previously defined, but we have actually defined in some other another file. I have declared that in calc.py, so it is not available here. So what we can do, we can import that file. So in C language, we use hash include. Here we have to use import. What we have to import? Calc C. For example, in C language, we use hash include stdio.h. And then from that printf, scanf, such kind of functions are already available. We need not to define here key from hash include, we are including something. So if I have included or imported this thing, calc C, so will it be available? Now this function is going to be available here or not, that will check. Okay, by simply writing like this, again, you will be finding some error. That add is not defined, nothing is sorted. So everything previously also the same error, the add is not defined, and again the same error, the add is not defined. This is because in C language, if this was the code with C language, then this was completely fine, completely okay. But in case of Python, you have to define the library or the module name here. So calc dot add. Now this is fine. Okay, now again it is showing some suggestions that what you can include from calc dot. So you can include add, division, multiplication, and subtraction. So now let's try to run this code. Expected result is, after I click OK, the expected result is 10 plus 5 is 15. So 15 must be printed on the screen. And here we go, we have 15 on the screen. So this is how you will be able to use this model in this file. Okay. Now one more important thing. Now you'll say ki this approach is being very much complicated, that you just have to always you have to calc dot add calc. I don't want this. I just want ki I should write like this only. So is there any provision that I can use like this only, instead of writing calc dot add, calc dot multiplication, calc dot subtraction like this, by simply referring to the function name? So yes, it is again possible in Python, and for that you need to do like this, from calc import add. Now this will import the addition function from that, and now you can directly use the add. So let's check whether it's happening. Yes, it is, and it's again showing 15 on the screen, so everything is fine. Let's check whether I'll be able to do the subtraction in that case. So here it will generate some error that subtraction is not defined. The reason is obvious, that we have included this add but not the subtraction. So what I'll do, I'll just write here subtraction as well, and then again save it and then run. Now here we go, we got 5, 10 minus 5 is 5. But again there is a problem. See, if you have few functions inside this, add, subtraction, multiplication, division, only few functions, 4 or 5 functions, then it is okay, that will go here from calc import add, subtraction, comma, multiplication, comma, division. But what if you have got the hundreds of functions here? Let's say you have got 100 number of different functions here. So what you will do, you will write add, comma, sub, comma, and so on for 100. So this is going to be a complicated thing. So is there any way again that we can, again, even if there are n number of 100 number of functions there, I can use only something, or by using some syntax, whether it is possible in Python that I can include everything? Yes, the Python allows you that also. You just have to write here star, and the star means include all. So from calc import star, now star means import everything, all things. Now you run this, and now it's possible to work on that. Okay, so whenever you're having a large number of functions, then just simply do like this, from calci import star. Now, this thing is called as the module in the Python, the collection of different functions, and the collection of such modules is called as package in the Python. Okay, so firstly understand what is function. Now, function is the piece of code which is doing some independent task. Now, what is module? Module is the collection of functions. And what is package? Package is the collection of module. So if you have a folder having calci.py, arithmetic.py, xyz.py, and n number of such files, that will be treated as package in the Python. So package is the collection of modules, module is the collection of functions, and function is the some piece of code, or it is some instructions which are working independently. Okay, so here we conclude with the function, and now you will be able to use different functions in your Python code, so you can make your code more readable. And one more important features of Python programming that we have not discussed yet, that we'll discuss now, and it is the data structures in the Python, or different data structure that we can use in the Python. In earlier session, we have seen how we can declare integer type of numbers, some floating point numbers, and how can we deal with some strings also. But there are some advanced in the Python that we must discuss, and how to use such data structures in future. Because checking the room temperature, continuously monitoring the room temperature, somehow you will temperature in some collection, or in some array, what we call array programming. Is it possible to have some in the Python? So the Python doesn't have any kind of data structure, straightforward, but has got some data structures similar to arrays, but quite different. They are not exactly similar to arrays, not, but there are some different. So these are list, tuple, and sets and dictionaries. So yesterday also somebody asked me the question about how we can print some values from the dictionaries and some keys from the dictionary. So we'll be discussing those things right now. So the Python collections, there are 4 different types of Python collections. The first one is list, second one is tuple, and the third one is set, and the last one is dictionary. So when I talk about the list, now we'll firstly discuss what is list. So I just close this so that I can start a new one. So this is Python shell. So I'll be doing everything in this shell only. So if you declare something like this, z equal to in rectangular bracket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hit enter, this is called as list in the Python. Okay, this is called as list in the Python. If you declare like this, x equals to rounded bracket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this becomes tuple in the Python. Okay, the first thing was list, second is tuple. If you declare y equals to in a curly bracket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this becomes set in the Python. So this is list in the Python, this is tuple in the Python, and this is set in the Python. Okay, so now in case of dictionary, I use one more variable like t equals to, the dictionary will be will look like this thing, curly bracket 1 colon 10 comma 2 colon 20 comma 3 colon 30. This thing is called as dictionary in the Python. Okay, so now this is dictionary in the Python, this is set in the Python, this is tuple in the Python, and this is list in the Python. So as far as these things are concerned, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, everything is, it looks like same, completely same. but there are little bit differences, some major differences are there. So we'll try to find out some differences. Now let us declare that z equals to, first we'll discuss about this thing, the list, and then we'll discuss about tuple, and after that we shall discuss about the sets and dictionaries. Okay, so we'll shortly cover all those things. We will not be covering all the methods because due to the limitation of time, but at least we will go and get the complete idea about what set is, what is list is, what is dictionary, and what is tuple, and after that you can explore. Okay, so once I declare like this is the set in the Python. If I want to print some numbers from this list, if I want to access some particular number from this list, so it is possible. So for example, if I use print z of 0, now z of 0 is the index and is the first index, so it should print 1. It should print 1. So here it is printing 1. If I print z of 4, so z of 4 is the last value, and that will be printed now, which is 5. So this thing is there. As far as the list is concerned, it is ordered. It is ordered means it has got some indexes. Like this is order in a particular order. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a particular order which is follows, and not like this ascending order or something like that. But if I declare, for example, y equals to 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. So if you notice, all the elements inside the z and all the elements inside the y, they are equal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only. So can we claim that z equal to y? Can we claim this? So it is totally false. So that means it is ordered. There has to be some sequence. If z in this sequence, the y should be in the same sequence, then only they are equal, otherwise they are not. So that means it is ordered. Secondly, if it is ordered, that means we can access something by some index, by z of 0, z of 4, like this, we can put some index. Can we change something from this list? Can I delete something, or can I change the value of some parameter? For example, I want to change z of 1 to be 6. Is it possible? So yes, it is possible. It is changeable. And now if I print z, so if I print z, that will be the change there. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I got 1, 6, 3, 4, and 5. So this is how it is changeable. You can actually change the elements from this list. Okay, so that is again one of the features. What was the first feature? It is ordered, that we can. It is not possible to compare with any other list which is having different order but having the same numbers. So it is changeable again, and it is ordered, and again we can put some indexes to that. So we have put some indexes, and that we have accessed something, and it is possible to change some elements inside that list. Okay, there can be a number of methods like insert, pop. Okay, that we can you can just refer, but for this moment just understand list is a data type which is changeable and it is ordered inside this. So is it possible to remove something or delete some element from this? So that is very much possible by writing z.remove. Okay, this is method z.remove, and you have to specify which number you have to remove. I want to remove the 6th thing. Then it will be removed, and if you print this z, then you'll find that it is removed. So instead of 1, 6, 3, and 5, we got this thing. Is it possible to add something to that? To add something to the list. For example, I want to add something. I want to add 7 number. So I can write this z.append. I want to add 7 in that z, and then print it. Open z. Then it is added 1, 3, 4, and 5. It's perfectly fine. So what are the properties of this list, or whatever we have declared z, which is the list? If the data type is list, which is declared inside the rectangular or the square brackets, firstly, it is ordered, it follows a particular order. Secondly, we can change some elements value inside that. Thirdly, we can delete a particular number from that. And lastly, we can add any other number, or we can extra number can be added in that. Okay, so these are some properties of this kind of data structure. What if I declare z equals to rounded brackets? Okay, now same thing I'm doing, but we'll check the difference what happens. If I declare like this, z equal to rounded brackets 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this becomes a tuple. This is a tuple in Python. And now this tuple is declared in the round brackets. It is again ordered, but not changeable. It is unchangeable. As it is ordered, there can be some index. So what I mean by order, for example, if I declare y equals to 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, hit enter. And then if I write like z equal to y, whether I'm going to claim this and whether it's going to happen. So it should be false. As it is ordered, it should follow a particular order only. So it is false. Now let's like the list, is it possible to access some number? So z of 0, can I print this number, print particular number? Yes, you can print, it is 1. Similarly, z of 4, is it possible to print this? Okay, so it's fine, it's totally fine. I'm able to print this. But is it possible to change the value of z of 1 to 6? Is it possible now? Okay, as per the definition, considered unchangeable, so it will throw an error. The tuple object does not support item assignment. You can't actually assign something to the item. But if it was a square bracket, then this was a completely valid thing. Okay, let it be. I can't actually change the value. But is it possible? Is it possible to remove something from this? So z dot remove. Let's check whether I'll be able to delete something from that. So I want to delete the number 2 from that. Is it possible? Again, it has thrown the error. So tuple object has no attribute remove. Okay, it doesn't have remove, but can I add something to it? So let's check whether I can add 7 in it. Again, the tuple object has no attribute append. So what the difference? This is the difference when we declare something as tuple and something as list. The list, we can add some numbers, we can delete some numbers, we can actually modify something from that, we can change the value. But tuple is the data collection which is not changeable, which is completely unordered. We can't actually which is ordered, but we can't change anything in it. So but we can access the numbers by using some index. Now the third data type, which is the set. If I declare like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now this will become set in the Python. Instead of the previously square bracket, list, rounded brackets, tuple, and this bracket, this thing will become a set in the Python. Now this is set. Now what are the properties of the set? Now firstly, it is unordered. There is no order. And if it is unordered, that means it doesn't have any index. It is unindexed as well. And secondly, we'll also check whether it is possible to change some element from this, and is it possible to add something in it, and whether it is possible to remove something from it. So if the definition claims that it is unordered, so that means if I declare any other set like this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now as it is unordered, and if the number of elements and the element values are same in this and this thing, what z and y must be equal. So if I write z equals to y, it should be true. Okay, so as it is unordered, in order to prove this thing, it should be true. And here it is true. Here you saw that it is false, and here it is true. So z equal to y. So that means this thing and this thing, they are equal. Y equal, even if the order is different, they are written in different fashion, but still they are equal because they are unordered. So if the elements in this and these are same, then they are equal. Now very fine, this is what we were expecting. But if it doesn't have any order, so will it have any index? So like z of 0, z of 1. So if it doesn't have any order, for example, z of 0 means what? This is 1 or this 5, because they are equal now. So what it will print, whether it is going to print this 1 or 5 if I print z of 0. Let's check first of all. And secondly, this is one thing that I want to ask, whether it's going to print 1 or 5 or it's going to throw an error. So as far as the definition is concerned, it should throw an error, and this will happen. The set object doesn't support the indexing. It doesn't have any kind of index. So is that suggested it doesn't have index? Can I change a particular number? So I want to make this to 6. Is it possible? Again, the same error, doesn't have any kind of item assignment. So no index, no item assignment. So we can't actually change the value at that particular location. In the tuple, I was not able to remove. Okay. See, look at here. I was not able to remove from the tuple. Can I remove something from, I want to remove this 2 from this set. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Now I can print this thing Z, and you notice the difference, 1, 3, 4, and 5. So that is the difference between tuple and set. In case of tuple, you can't actually remove something, but in case of set, you can remove, but can't change the value. And this is similar to the tuple. But set can remove some component or some item from that. Okay, let it be. Is it possible to add something in it? Because previously, in case of the tuple, I was not able to add. See here, I was not able to add inside the particular thing. But is it possible to append something in it? So if I put using the append command, I want to append 7, and I'm expecting that it should add the 7 to the set. So whether it is going to happen, let's check. So it has thrown the error that you can't actually use append method. It doesn't have any kind of append method to that. Okay, append method means add to the last at the end. That means it should have some index so that we can identify which is the last index, and after that we can add. So the append doesn't work. So can the add work? I just write z.add and let's add 7. So is this going to happen? So if it's true, and let's print it z. So we are expecting that it should actually add the 7 into this thing, because already we have removed 2. So it will be 1, 3, 4, and 5. So somewhere the 7 should be added. But whether the 7 will be added at the beginning, at the middle, or at the last, that is completely uncertain. That is not defined. Okay, because it's totally uncertain, because it doesn't have any kind of index. So here it is. Fortunately, it has added at the end, but there is no such thing it will add at the end or at the beginning. Okay, so this thing is possible in case of set. So these are the major differences between list, tuple, and set. We have declared list, same data we have used. We have checked the different properties. Then we declared tuple, we checked the properties. Then we declared set, then we checked the properties. The last data structure in the that we'll discuss here is the dictionaries, and the dictionaries are very much important. So dictionaries are similar to the what we say the set in the perspective of ordering. So they both are unordered. Secondly, the dictionaries can be changeable. We can actually change some values from the dictionaries. We can add some values, we can delete some values. That is also possible. Thirdly, they are indexed. So this is quite confusing and creating some conflict. As they are not ordered, they doesn't have any order, how they can have some index? So this is how the definition tells us it has got some index, it has no order, but there is a conflict when we have discussed about the set. If it is not ordered, it cannot have an index. But in case of dictionaries, the definition suggests it has got index even if it doesn't have any kind of order. So let's check. Firstly, let's declare some dictionary, and that is again it is declared in terms of some curly brackets. So 1:10, 2:20, and then 3:30. This is the dictionary. Let's hit enter. We said it is unordered, so will it be fine if I declare like 2 colon 20, then 3 colon 30, and then 1 colon 10. See, the elements inside both the dictionary is same. So can I claim Z equals to Y? Okay, so can I say like this? So once you hit enter, it is true. That means it is unordered, doesn't have any order. So you just have to take care that all the elements inside the dictionary should be same. Otherwise, there is no order that how you write the sequence you mention. It doesn't have to do with this the number of elements inside that. So it is completely true. It's correct. Okay, so that says it is unordered. Now this also suggests that it is changeable and it is indexed. So how we can specify some index like z of 0? Will it work? Z of 0. If I print here z of 0, will it print the first value? Will it print the first value? That 1 colon 10. Will it going to print that? Let's check. So it's not going to print that, and it's not saying it doesn't have item assignment or index error. So keep in mind, previously we were getting the index error. See, like here, set does not support any indexing. Here we are not getting that error, that it doesn't support any kind of indexing or something like it. It shows that key error, that 0 key is unavailable. This is the error. So that means, as far as the dictionary is concerned, this 1, 2, and 3, these are called as keys of the dictionary. 10, 20, and 30 are the values. So 10 value correspond to index 1 or the key 1, 20 corresponds to key 2, and 30 correspond to key 3. So you can actually access this dictionary by using the key name. For example, if I want to print Z of 1, that is fine. This is completely fine. It will print 10. Print Z of 2. That is fine, completely fine. It is printing 20. So can I actually change the value? If I write Z of 1 equal to, instead of 10, I just write 40. Well, it's going to happen here. So let's check. It's completely fine. If I print Z again, you will find 1, 40, 2, 20, 3, 30. So it's totally fine that you can actually change some values from that dictionary. So this is the major difference between set and dictionary. You can actually change the value. But like the same thing, the dictionary and set, they are unordered. That is the only similarity between these two things. Now, can I add an extra component in that? For example, I want to add key 4 and some value. So is it possible that I can put something to that? So for example, Z of 4, if I declare a new thing, which is 1, 2, 3 is the only things available there, and equals to, let's say 50 if I want to add. Is it possible? And if I print this, Z, is it going to function, or it's going to throw in some kind of error? Let's check. So it's totally fine that you can add something, extra component you can add, or extra key and its value you can add. So that is again the similarity with kind of set. How I can print, coming back to the yesterday's question, somebody asked that how I can print the total values and the keys of this dictionary. So you can use some for X in Z, and if I want to print the X, what it will print? Is it going to print the keys? Because it has got two attributes. It has got the key value. So whether it's going to print the keys, or whether it's going to print the values, or it's going to print the both. So let's check. So it's printing only the keys. So if you want to print the keys of your dictionary, you can print like this. What if I have to print the values? So you can write like Z, X in Z, and then print Z of X, and totally fine. We'll be getting all the values 40, 20, 30, and 50. Okay, this thing is we are doing something. We are just using some logics from the for loop and some indexing concepts. Is there any other way to print this thing without using this thing, logic? Yes, it is possible for x in z dot values. So you can use like this z dot values, and then you go and try to print the x, print x. This is going to print the 40, 20, 30, and 50. Okay. How I can print both the things simultaneously, keys and keys and the values. So for that you need to take two variables x comma y in z, and then you just write print x comma y. Whether it's going to happen, no, you have to write a z dot items. Okay, in that case you have to use z dot item, because initially we have printed this x in z and print x, this thing. But if you are declaring one more variable x comma y in z, then you have to use z dot items, this thing. Okay, now let's try to print these things. So 140, 220, 330, and 450. So this thing will be there. So this is how you'll be able to access the dictionary. You will be able to modify some data in dictionary. You can add some new parameters in the dictionary. Okay. So these are some important data structures in the Python. Of course, we have not discussed that in the depth, but at least you have got the idea about the data structures in Python, how you can use these data structures in programming. Now, when to use dictionary, when to use tuple, when to set, it's up to the data. For example, if you are taking a real-time room temperature and you are appending that in some collection or in some array, then you go for list, because you should be able to add an extra component in it, and it should be changeable. If you are storing some password, then go for the tuple, because the tuple doesn't support item changing, so you can't change any item, so password will be same. So like this, you have to just identify. For example, you are managing the students information like name, roll number, and its percentage marks and height and weight. Go for the dictionary. You can declare a student by some name key, then its height and weight, like this. For example, I can declare a student like z equals to, I can declare a key name and colon, just say Ram. Okay, then comma, it's a roll number. Okay, so it's a roll number is like this, roll number colon, let's say its roll number is 14. Okay, so it's a let's say key marks, the third one is marks. .4%. Okay, so 0.4, these are the percentages of the RAM. So this is again a dictionary, so you can print this thing. This is dictionary and it's completely valid. The name RAM. If you want to print the name of, so you just write z comma name. So the name is the key now. Okay, this is key, and then print it. So it's RAM and so on. So even it is applicable. So if you are having such kind of data, then you can go with the dictionary. So you just have to choose the different data structures from the choice for your data which you have, and accordingly you can use in your programming, and you can actually develop a good software from these things. Okay, so now we'll take some questions. So we request some questions in the chat box, so that if you have any queries regarding the functions and the data structures, you can ask in the chat box, so that one after the another will take some questions. We'll try to rectify your doubts. Talking about the what if calling is above the defining the function. So is the sequential programming language. The Python is the sequential programming language. So if you call first and declare later, that will be a problem. It will show undefined thing. It is not defined. So always when before calling the function, it must be declared somewhere. So the Saptarsh is asking the question, we have declared my function, and below that we make a call to that function, my function. So what if I make call first and declare function later. So that will be problem. Okay. So before calling, it must be declared. For example, consider a simple situation and a simple example. In an organization, you are not hiring any employee and assigning the task, and you don't have any employee, then the task will not be completed. The same thing will happen here. An error. It is if I want the name from the roll number. This is from Datta. The question: if the name from the roll number. So what you are asking? Roll number is the key which will store some value. So its roll number will be printed. Okay, so but you know the dictionary, so you have to use that thing. Okay, the thing is that that particular name. So from that Z of name will be the key for that. So you have to specify a particular key only. Without key, you will not be able to access the dictionary element. Okay, so one question is from the Omkar, is the where we define class in the Python. Okay, the Python is object-oriented programming language, so it supports the object-oriented methodology of programming. So for those who don't know about the object-oriented programming, I just given a simple idea about it. The object-oriented programming means it's like a style of programming. It's like a method of programming. Just like we have defined the functions and done some coding, this is called as procedural programming style. And in case of object-oriented programming, we can create some classes and some object. So you can also define some classes in the module file as well as in the same file also. Just like we define some functions in the same file, and in module file you can do the same thing. You can define classes in the same file as well, or else you can use some different module in which you can declare some classes. And secondly, as we imported the functions from that module, you can import some classes from that particular file also, and you can declare some objects in it. Okay. So Saptar is asking one more question, that is it possible of multi-dimensional array? Okay, so you want to process the multi-dimensional arrays like matrix or three-dimensional arrays like color images in Python. So that is perfectly fine. You can go with this library or this package. So just study this thing, NumPy. You will be able to handle the arrays in the Python. Secondly, if you want to deal the multi-dimensional arrays, and particularly if you are talking about the image, because the image is the multi-dimensional array, particularly three-dimensional array. If you want to deal with the image kind of data, you have to do some image processing, then go with this. Okay, so this is OpenCV. I am putting in the comment box. So you just go with this package of Python, OpenCV. This is for the image processing. So in that case, you will be able to handle the three-dimensional arrays and the color images. Otherwise, by using simply NumPy, you can actually handle the arrays. Okay, so you are talking about this thing. So these Z of A comma B, these things, such kind of things are in C language, where you have the multi-dimensional array, like two-dimensional array matrix. This thing is very much easy in case of NumPy library. You just have to access this thing, NumPy, and you have to specify the index like 1, 2. Like here you are using Z of A, B. There you have to just specify Z of rounded bracket 1, 2, like this. Okay, that will be very much easy in case of NumPy library. But in case of C language, it directly support this thing. You just use some for loops and cascade for loops or nested for loop for inside for loop, and then go for this Z of A, B. But in case of Python, they have a separate package for that, or rich package, that is NumPy. There you can directly handle the multi-dimensional arrays. Okay. And the multi-dimensional array you can make by nesting. You can put a list inside the list, that will become a multi-dimensional thing. As we discussed, name, type, attribute, key, errors, these are runtime error or not a fatality. During discussion, I was purposefully creating some errors in order to so that you will understand the difference between these things. These are actually not errors, but I just wanted to show you the concept of tuple and list and the differences between tuple and list. That's why I was purposefully trying the experimenting there so that you can understand the logic. So there were no errors, but yes, I was purposefully having or putting some errors in that, so that, but they are not the fatal errors. It's just for the understanding I was doing that. Any further questions? Is there any limit to declare integer for how many times? So if you're asking the length of integer number, for example, if I declare z 1 2 3 4 and so long the time. So unlike C language, Python doesn't have any kind of restriction on it. The length of the integer value, it can be any value. So there is no restriction in case of Python. And if you are talking about can I reuse the same variable again and again? So yes, you can reuse, but the once you reuse, the previous data stored in that will be vanished, that will be destroyed. That's the thing. Otherwise, you can reuse the same variable. Yeah, if I declare, for example, if you are talking about the reuse, if I declare a equals to 10 and then print a, so it will be 10, okay. But say at the same time, if I declare at the below a equal to 20 this time, now if I try to print a, then the value 10 is lost. This 10 is lost now, okay. Now it is overwritten. This thing will happen if you reuse it. But there is no restriction how many times you can reuse it. Okay, the Sushant is asking, is there any method in overloading in Python? Okay, so if you are going for the object-oriented programming, you will be able to handle it in more proper way by declaring different objects and classes, so that will not be facing any problem. But in case of this thing, as he said, how we can reuse it. So there will be a problem if we are putting the same variable again and again. So that will be just deleting the previous value. So that's the problem with the procedural programming style, but the object-oriented programming style can better deal with the variable overloading. Okay, the next question is how to swap the pointer in Python and C++. Okay, So if you want to swap the numbers from two these things, the simple thing you can do, as we are not using any kind of pointer, so if you are using pointers, then you can swap based on the memory address. But here you can actually use some temporary variable, like the same logic you do in C++ and C. You just store a number in temporary variable and then again assign the number to another variable and then use the temporary variable. So by using that, you can simply swap the numbers. Is this possible to add multiple elements in the list? Yes, it is possible. You can add the multiple elements in the list. Even you can concatenate two different lists together. So if you have declared x is equal to 1, 2, 3 and y is equal to 4, 5, 6, then it is possible to even concatenate both the lists by simply plus operator. For example, you can simply declare x equals to 1, 2, 3, this is one list, and then y equals to 4, 5, 6, this is another list, and I can write z equals to x plus y, this will be done. Again, then print z, will get the things in that. Okay, so you can even add multiple values in that. So what is the difference between array and the list? Okay, they are quite similar. In case if you compare this with the C language array, quite similar. Like you can have some index, you can add some numbers, you can actually once you delete something from that in C language, it will not release that memory unless and until you use the dynamic memory allocation in C. Once you delete some element from the array, it's not going to release that memory. That will be there. But in case of Python list, that is going to release that memory. That will be free. Okay, so you can add extra element. But secondly, one more important thing, in case of C language array, you have to previously define the size of array. So let's say a of 20, so it will contain 20 number of elements. But in case of Python list, you need not to specify any limit on it. You can go on increasing the size of your list. It's not a problem. But in case of array in C, if you declare array of size 10 and you are trying to add 11th number in that, that will be a problem in C language. But that is not the case with Python because it need not to define any kind of size for that. So that is again different. So quite similar, but I can't put an equation like list equal to array. Okay, so I will not say list equal to array, but they are quite similar. And even you can deal with the list in the similar way you deal with the array in C language. Secondly, you can declare a multi-dimensional list also. In that case, you can put different list inside the list. So one particular element of a larger list will be another smaller list, and again in that again a list. So cascading is done. Cascading is possible, nesting is possible, that will create a multi-dimensional list. So this is possible, but there is no straightforward equation like list equal to array. Okay, in terms of speed, when we talk about the list and the set, so it's not about the speed because they will be stored in memory locations and of course in the consequent memory location. So speed is something related to the how they are stored in the memory location. So in case of list, so obviously they will be stored in the consequent memory location. So in order to access that, so you can access it very easily because they are stored in consequent. In case of set, as there is no order, there is no guarantee that they are stored in the consequent memory location. So in that case, the list can get some advantage in terms of speed. Which programming language uses more space comparing to C and Python? If you're talking about the memory space, then obviously Python takes the more space. So if you do the addition wala code in C language, that will take X amount of bytes, for example. So obviously, if you do the same thing in Python, that will take more number of bytes than the C program in terms of memory. Again, and in terms of speed, again, in terms of memory and in terms of speed, C is far better than Python. But in terms of learning the C language, implementing these things, as a learner it will be difficult, because C, we talk about it's a high level programming language, but some people say that it's a mid level programming language, not the high level programming language. Like assembly we consider as a low level programming language, but C is again not the high level programming language, something between the high level and the low level programming. So it's middle programming language. So it's, in terms of speed, it is faster than the Python, and again it will take a minimum storage in case of the memory. But the Python has got some another advantage, like AI ML applications cannot be implemented in C. Yes, it can be implemented, but it will take a long code and very much difficult, and you should have a strong programming skill in that case. Okay, but that's not the case with Python. How assign a different name to function and call it as to the new name? Okay, actually, this thing you can do using some the add statement in programming. For example, I'll show this for this calci. For example, if you want to import this thing, import calci as calculator. Okay, so now the actual file is calci. Okay, the actual file is calci. Now you are importing like calci as calculator, and then here you have to write calculator dot sum. Now hereafter you will not refer this calci as calci. You'll be referring by the calculator. So you can, this is how you can actually change the names of the files, modules, whatever you use in your programming. Any other questions? Okay, when you are talking about attribute, it is something related to object-oriented programming, and it's in the objects. So attributes means the features or the properties of that. So there you have to use some attributes. So basically, everything in Python is object. So even we declared Z and that thing that we treated as object. So there can be different attributes. So basically, when you talk about the object-oriented programming, so there are two different concepts. The first thing, every object will have some attributes and every object will have some methods. For example, we declared Z as a list. Now that can be an object in Python. Now that was having the method like remove, add, append. These are some methods, and it may have some attributes. So if you declare your own class, you can declare your own attributes also, and you can even create your own custom methods to that also. So that's a part of the object-oriented programming. Okay. If the questions are done, can we conclude the session? Thank you.
Thank you, Atul Wadkar sir. Thank you for your consistent response to all the students and use language to so that students have found it very easy. This time we have organized a very basics of Python, but definitely we'll go forward for advanced Python in future. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, all the students, there is one announcement for you. You have to appear for the assessment. So assessment questionnaire will be sent and shared by Tejaswini madam. Time is of maximum 1 hour. So link will be shared to you on your registered mail ID, wherein you have to respond. Okay. If your score is greater than 40%, then only you will get the certificate.